Hello and welcome to the Heresy Lodge. I'm your host, Dylan Cooper, the Constant Ghost over here.
Gavin Franklin.
And guys, we are here this week for our Shoot the Shit episode. And in honor of it, I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm ready.
I'm ready.
To show off my beer. So I have from Against the Grain, the Brown Note. And for those that are watching, it is quite an interesting can. It's literally some hairy man in underwear with a poop stain.
Oh, I guess it is our Shoot the Shit episode.
Yep.
Interesting. Well, I also have something special for this episode.
Please explain more.
It is a bottle of mead. What mead, you ask? I don't know. So I purchased this when I was drunk at a meadery in Nashville, and it doesn't have any labels. I'm pretty sure, if I recall, because it was the last place we went to, so a little bit of a insight to how drunk I may have been. I think it's called The Beast.
The Beast.
This smells like really strong mead. Like mead
I used to
that,
love mead so much.
like not super sweet. You know, like the difference between like the pineapple mead
Yeah.
and like the 20%
Viking
mead.
blood shit, yeah.
It's pretty strong.
Yeah, it's real good.
Damn, that is actually very good.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty disappointed in mine.
I can't get drunk.
What do you got going on today? It's Thursday.
Gotta do a lot of work after this. But oh yeah, we have a couple horns. Horns.
So guys, before we get too far into our episode, do all the normal things. If you really enjoy listening to us, you should join the Discord where you can listen to us more. And people of like mind normally. Sometimes it gets heated.
Us more.
You're in for a treat. So join the Discord. It's a lot of fun. We have been doing like a bi-weekly meetups. It's been a lot of fun. People will sit there and they'll just paint their minis. We'll just shoot the shit. We'll talk lore. We'll talk life. You know, just whatever. Just guys hanging out, have a beer, whatever. You can find that pinned to our Twitter at Heresy Lodge. If you ever feel like contributing to the podcast, of course, no obligation to do so. We do have tips enabled on there. Cool thing. Anything that goes into that comes right back in, whether it's models, books, whatever. Helps us out. YouTube, please subscribe to us, like our videos, comment. We do have our Grey Knights and Tau battle report up there still. Eventually, we will go back to our beginner guide. Just something different. We have our email at theheresylodge@gmail.com. Those are all the socials.
Yeah, I feel like that list gets longer every time, but it hasn't expanded in a long time. Like
No, I just randomly add like things like, oh yeah, we have these things on here. You should check it out. And I'm like, I always forget like every other episode.
That's a thing we do. Yeah. I feel like it's just like here in a few weeks I'll just be able to sit back and relax as you just go through our entire episode talking about our social media.
Yeah, you can go to our Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple, every single platform you can think of. We might be there.
So, this week is an exciting week.
These are definitely my favorite episodes because they're the most fun. I think this is where you really get us. Besides Fear to Tread. Fear to Tread, you got too much of us, maybe.
So what are the topics you wish to bring to the table today, sir?
So, we got Primarch rankings. We have seen every single Primarch fucking finally. Honestly, we could probably hit Legions too if we really want to. I don't know how much they would change.
First. Let's hit Primarchs and see where the day takes us.
Sure. After that, I do have a rant I want to go on about character deaths and the lack thereof. We also want to talk Malcador and his bullshit.
The Malcador.
A Malcador. I don't even know.
If there's more than one.
Maybe. Let's start this. I will share my screen. So for those on YouTube, you should be able to see our Primarch rankings. Once we have them kind of figured out, we'll both read them out loud for our podcast listeners. So sorry if it sounds a little weird, but I promise I will give you the grand scheme of thing. So for those that are familiar, we have me, Gavin, Graham McNeil, Sink, and Varela from the Horse Hour podcast on here.
Great guys, give them a watch.
Yep. Has our Discord done their Primarch rankings or was it just Legion rankings?
Oh, I think they've done the Primarch rankings. We should find that so we can.
Yeah, I'll message Thomac to get that on our list here. So another cool thing about the Discord, you guys do things like that. So maybe things can change as we progress through the heresy. Who knows? I like things like that. I think it's awesome. See how you guys think, how we think. You should just copy our list, honestly. That's how we know you. No, your list is ass.
I don't know why you could even think any of way other than what I have.
So Gavin, go first. What would you change on your list?
Dude, I'm gonna tell you right now, up top is motherfucking Sanguinius. I don't know why no one else has Sanguinius on the top of their list. This dude fist fought a freaking demon prince of
Kabadon,
and then he beat the shit out of Kabunda,
who has a really sick ass model coming out.
Yeah, and it's like Sanguinius, man. I mean, come on. He's got wings. Only 2 Primarchs have wings that we know of. I just don't know how you can get away
from it.
Who
else has wings?
Magnus. Oh, well, I guess he doesn't have wings yet.
Yeah, he hasn't ascended or whatever.
Just Sanguinius. Yeah, just for the wings. Sanguinius is number 1.
Yeah, right now we just have fucking Cyclops Magnus.
Yeah, kind of a weirdo.
That kind of blows my mind now that I think about it. The tabletop one definitely has 2 eyes.
No, it depends. You can get them different ways.
Oh, interesting.
I think mine has 2 eyes, which is where you might be.
Yep, that is what I based it off of.
Yep, I like the 2 eyes. The Cyclops looks weird to me, so I'm assuming.
Is it like a big eye, or is it just like one shut, one open?
You can do a big eye, or you can do one shut, one open.
What the fuck?
Do either one. So I'm assuming Magnus, being the dude he is, will probably just psychically change how he looks to have 2 eyes.
That's what I would do, because I'd look like a fucking weirdo with one giant eye. Anyway, Sanguinius.
Sanguinius up top. Who's your number 1 pick? It's got to change, right? It can't be this guy.
As of right now in the heresy, I think I have to keep it as Leman Russ.
The fact that you think Leman Russ can beat Sanguinius, even when Leman Russ doesn't think he can beat Sanguinius.
He has not said those words.
Okay, all right. Good point.
Not yet. Actually, during Vengeful Spirit, he says the only one he can't beat is Horus, which is interesting.
I thought he said that he can't beat Conrad Courage or Sanguinius. And
dude, I literally read this last night. He said, tells Logan's like, yeah, we're gonna go kill Horus, and Logan's like, you can't kill him. He's like, you're right. He's the only one I don't think I can kill. So I don't know when the fuck that quote happens. It's probably a fucking short story that no one reads.
I suppose we'll find out.
Yep.
Or not.
Or not, yeah.
Yeah, so my second one, I gotta agree. Leman Russ is a badass. I mean, the thing is, Magnus is so powerful, but Leman Russ kicked his ass. And when you're making these tier lists, you really have to think about the confrontations that these Primarchs have been through. Leman Russ has fought Magnus. I think Magnus could kick the shit out of in my mind, there's a tier above all the other Primarchs, and that's where Sanguinius, Leman Russ, and Magnus sit.
Yeah, I mean, I have Magnus next on mine, and he's just such a fucking powerful psyker. I mean, the Emperor is the Emperor because he's a psyker, and Magnus is the strongest of the Primarchs of the psyker. I think it makes sense that honestly, in my mind, I think he's probably actually the strongest, but Leon Russ beat his ass, so it's hard to argue.
I think Lehman Russ would always contrive a situation. Lehman Russ's tactics and emotions and decisions lead him to victory. Where
Yes.
Magnus is more powerful, but all of his actions and emotions lead him to defeat.
Yes, I agree. 100%. Magnus is Magnus's worst enemy.
He fights against himself more than anything, which is hilarious. But yeah, so and then you got Sanguinius third, I got Magnus third. It makes sense. Those three are untouchable Primarchs. Like if anyone says that anyone is better than those three, I'm like, you're crazy. You got some people put Angron up there. You're nuts.
Yeah. We actually both have Porto Rabo. Are we keeping Porto Rabo up here?
So that's an interesting talk. I'm gonna exchange Porto Rabo for somebody.
Okay.
I'm gonna put Conrad Kurz as number fucking 4.
Ooh, Conrad Kurz. So Kurz is going up on my list as well, but I am moving Porto Rabo. I am actually going to go with the Khan.
Ooh, I like
5.
it. I like it.
Which the worst thing about this list though is I'm gonna have to move Mortarion because of our last encounter with him.
Okay. Yeah. So here's the thing. This is my argument for Kurz. If we look at everything that
Dude,
he's
he
done,
fucks everybody for no reason.
like he bodies like 3 Primarchs.
Yeah, the Lion going down my list because Kurz fucked his ass up,
Yeah.
fucked Gilliman's ass up, just fucks everyone's ass up.
The most impressive thing about Conrad Kurz is his ability to get his ass beat.
Honestly, though, yes.
Conrad Kurz can get his ass beat more than any other Primarch except Vulcan. He's the guy that can take like a million punches and then he just stands up. It's no big deal. Uh, he is the skinny dude on the playground that everyone thinks they can fight, but he's ready to die in that fist fight,
Oh,
and you're
yes, he
not.
is.
That's the difference. He
Yep.
also has a knife in his back pocket that you weren't aware of.
Yep, I agree. So
That's
Lion next. We both have him. You keeping that?
oh
Is that
no.
not?
That's where I'm putting the con.
Okay. So this is actually where I am putting the cars.
All right, I'm glad we kind of have the same mentality on these things. Yeah, I would love to see a fight between Conrad Kurz and the Khan.
You have Vulcan next. You keeping that?
Yeah, I'm keeping Vulcan there.
So I actually agree. I am changing Horus to Vulcan. Now that I've finally seen Vulcan, he's just too fucking strong.
He's good. He's good. Man, our lists are looking more similar now. It makes me
They are, yep.
makes me feel good about the way I'm doing this.
So next is where you originally had Kurz. So who do you want to switch that to?
That's where I put Porto Rabo now.
Okay. Whew. I think this makes me sick to my stomach.
No, don't do it.
Currently, you know, I think you're right. I don't think he goes here yet. I will also agree with Porto Rabo. We both had him at 4th at one point. I think that's a good spot for him. He's very good. I mean, he's your fucking what's his face from Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
Kingpin.
Fisk. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
So next you have Khan, I have Kurz. Obviously, they both moved for us. So who are you replacing the Khan with?
So this is where things I think get a little more difficult. And unfortunately, I think you might be right. I think Mortarion goes here.
So I was originally thinking Mortarion, but then I had an epiphany. I'm going with Horus.
Interesting. Okay. So
We both have Rogel. No, we both have Korax next.
okay. Yeah, I think this one right here. One sec. Let me look at the rest of my list. Can you unclick the? Okay, yeah. I think right here I'm going to put Angron.
Aaron's solid choice. So here is where I'm going to go with Mortarion.
I think we mixed it up because Korax is I think that was supposed to be line 10 that we put more.
Fuck. Yep, you're right. I'll fix that. Okay. Actually, I'll just do this so we have the right ones. Got Angron and I had Mortarion. All right. Now we both have Rogel Dorn.
Phenomenal.
Trainwreck is sitting there fucking steaming right now. Because he's going further down. He's at least on my list. I imagine on your list as well.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to put Horus here.
Okay.
Oh, no.
The Lion?
I messed this up. Yeah, the Lion. Okay, go up for me just a little bit. Where
Sure.
Mortarion is, that's where the Lion goes.
Lion. So you want Lion, Angron, or Lion, Mortarion, Angron?
You got it.
Okay.
I forgot about the Lion.
I also forgot about the Lion, but I will keep it, I think, and put him next on mine. Because right now he has not impressed me recently.
Okay, so mine is going Lion, Mortarion, Angron, not Lion, Mortarion, Lion.
Oh shit.
Okay. So now we move into what would I pick for the Angron choice? I would put Horus. So right there at number 12, I'd put Horus.
Okay. So you have Sanguinius, Slim, Rust, Magnus, Kurz, Khan, Vulcan, Portorabo, Lion, Mortarion, Angron, Horse.
Yep, I think that makes sense to me.
Okay. I'm going to keep mine as is, as Lehman, Magnus, Sanguinius, Khan, Kurz, Vulcan, Portorabo, Horus, Mortarion, Angron, Lion.
Okay.
Are you keeping Fulgrim there?
Nope, this is where I'll put Dorn.
Okay. For me, I think I'm actually going to put Korax here. When we talked about Korax as far as like fighting, he's supposed to be one of the top like swordsmen / fighters. There's probably an argument where Fulgrim's probably a better fighter than he is, but I think Korax is smarter about it. So I'm gonna put him above Fulgrim.
Yeah, that's a good move. So the next step after where I have Manus.
So, what about after Dorn?
Ooh, I think Horus could beat Korax. I already said Horus. So the next one for me is the Manus one. So I think you're one behind me. Yeah. So oh wait, I have Horus.
No, you just said Dorn. So Horus Dorn.
Who are we missing? Who am I missing? I have Korax, Manus, Fulgrim.
You do not have Korax.
Okay, so I'm gonna put.
You're missing Fulgrim, Korax, Manus, Gilman, Alfarius, Lord.
I'll put Korax here.
Okay. I will change mine, which was originally the Khan, to Fulgrim.
I'll Fulgrim on the next line.
Okay. And then I am probably putting Manus here.
Yep.
Same for you. After.
You gave me Manus on the previous one.
Oh, that was supposed to be Fulgrim. So that Fulgrim Manus.
Did it again, you son of a bitch.
God damn it! I swear I'm clicking Fulgrim. They're right next to each other. So from I had Vulcan here originally. Obviously, I moved him up.
Such a jump.
Am I fucking missing someone? I don't think so. This is where it gets really tough.
You're missing
It's
Dorn.
kind of. I am missing Dorn. This is where Dorn would go for sure. Honestly, actually, I'm gonna switch Dorn and Manus here.
Interesting. Okay.
I think Dorn's just too smart to fucking lose the Manus.
And then I'll put Gilliman.
Who am I missing other than Lorgar?
Alfarius.
Alfarius B. Gilliman. I don't know. Gilliman sucks ass. You know, I'll say Alfarius, Gilliman, Lorgar. So if you really think about it, Alfarius is two people.
Interesting move. Putting Alfarius above Gilliman. I'll have Alfarius where Mortarion is, and that'll be my final list. Lorgar stays on the bottom. Will he ever be redeemed?
He's on the bottom for everyone except for Graham McNeil.
Which is super interesting that he put Manus below Lorgar. When we were doing the interview, though, I remember we got to the bottom. He's like, "Who's left? Manus? Oh yeah, he died super early. He's on the bottom." I don't think he was thinking.
I still don't know why Sing and Varela has their line 10, Mortera and Horus as red. I have no idea why it did that.
That's wrong. That's wrong. What's so funny is you gave him so much shit for putting Mortarion at that level. And look where he is now. On ours.
Wow, we're actually tied the same. Yeah. Varela has them one higher, but
yeah, I think Varela really messed up by putting Magnus like in the bottom 8.
Or the Lion, second to last.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I get that.
I mean, he's basically gets his ass beat every time we see him.
Yeah.
Although so does Skur, so it's weird.
It's really interesting that our lists they may not be identical, but the tiers are identical. You have the top 3, Sanguinius, Lehman Russ, and Magnus. And then you have the next 3, Kurz, Khan, Vulcan. Then you have a squad of 5 there. You have Portorabo, Horus, Lion, Mortarion, Angron. They're all right there. And then it's like the next tier, you have Dorn, Korax, Fulgrim, Manus, and then the lower 3, Gilliman, Alfarius, Lorgar. Like you can break it into tiers. And so I think we've agreed, like if we did a tier list, it would be identical. But the rankings of that tier list is where it falls apart. Maybe by the end of the heresy, we'll end up with the exact same list.
Maybe. I don't know. It's very interesting. I mean, we're also just like very like, especially like you and me, we're very similar. So I can see us thinking almost like this.
I feel like there's a lot of people though that put out Primarch rankings without having read the entire heresy.
Yes. I think as we do it, as we're reading, but ignoring chaos is very huge.
Yeah.
Makes it very different.
And at the same time too,
like if we included chaos, Lorgar would be like 4.
I disagree with that. I don't think Chaos makes him more powerful. I think a lot of the Primarchs are
Dude, he held up
immune,
a fucking Titan.
but I think Chaos is like other Primarchs are kind of immune to the Chaos powers that get
But
thrown
think
out
of
there.
like I know it's not where we're at now, but like Horus,
Hmm.
like in the siege when he's souped up on fucking Chaos, he's probably top 3.
Yeah,
Easy.
maybe, but the fact of the matter is the one Primarch he duels, he only wins because the Primarch didn't want to kill him.
Fair.
So yes, I agree, but I really don't think if you look at the literature we have on Primarch versus Primarch that the Chaos Taint actually buffs them up as much. The only argument you can make is the fight between Mortarion and Gilliman in the 40k universe, but that's just because Gilliman's a bitch.
Amen though.
I think yeah, I think that this is a really good like standard for a lot of people. And I don't know. I think you will see the light and Sanguinius will make his way to the top.
Maybe. All right. That is it for our Primarch rankings. If we end up having more time, we'll go to Legions, but that is Primarchs.
Yeah. That's cool. I like that.
Me too. What do you want to do first? Malcador or lack of character deaths?
Let's talk about the character deaths. You've been
All
wanting
right.
to talk about this for a while.
So I fucking hate the lack of character deaths. Just to start, especially after reading Garo, we have fucking Gabriel Loken. We even talked about this in our, I think it was review number 1, where we talked about like maybe if he was like nursed back to health from like fucking Rolinar or somebody like that, like maybe it would make sense.
Yeah.
But no one has fucking died in this fucking entire heresy that matters. These are the big deaths that we've had. Argaltal,
I want to talk about that one.
Ferris Manus. Who else is big?
Yeah.
We have read 8 books now? Right? Like something like that?
Nimiel.
Yeah, Nemiel, but like does he even matter? We don't even know.
So
he got beheaded in a fucking short story. Like if we didn't read that short story, we wouldn't even know.
Yeah. It's weird. So I want to talk about Argaltal and why I think ADB is a fucking genius.
Because he's the only one with balls.
Not just that. he's the one that he's a writer that like he just writes super well. Like the example of this is with Argaltal. He was given the mission, ADB, to write a story about the most hated legion owned by the most hated Primarch twice. People are annoyed when they even appear in books. They can't stand the word bears. They're god awful. So imagine they make a really good enemy. Imagine having to write an entire book about it. 2. So
I don't know, man. George R. R. Martin wrote fucking like 6.
Yeah, well, they don't count because he hasn't written a whole series.
Yeah, but think about this though. This is like my biggest thing about this is like maybe it's because like I've watched Game of Thrones that like I think like character death is such a big driving factor, right? Like when you have a big character death and you have to like change who the main characters are, I think this is huge. It completely changes like your perspective of the story. Like you're actually like afraid of your like favorite character dying, and like that's such a it's a thrill that you're just not really getting with these books, despite having a billion of them. You have a billion characters, but like none of the main ones are dying.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I want to address the Argaltal situation real quick.
Sure, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I think it's really interesting. So the ADB's answer to writing this terrible book, right? He's like, "There's no way I'm going to do this." Is he creates the one word bear that is tolerable. he
Amen.
he creates Argaltal. Okay, so he's like, Argal Tall is going to be the character that every person who reads this book relates to because the word bears suck ass. And Argal Tall is going to pretend he's going to be like a victim of the word bears debauchery. So it's going to make you hate them even more, but you'll love reading about Argal Tall. Okay? So Argal Tall in that has a purpose. His purpose is to make you enjoy reading about the word bears, okay, and to give you like a gray slate to stand on when it comes to the messy fuckingness of the word bears. What's genius about ADB, okay, is not only does he kill Argal Tall, which gives that sense of I fear for my characters now, but he kills him after the purpose is done. He's written um, First Heretic, he's written Betrayer. Argotol didn't die in the middle of Betrayer, he died at the very end. And the reason for that is really because he wanted to make sure that the entire trip you had with the word bearers was at least enjoyable. And Argotol's entire purpose was that. So once his purpose was served, he dies.
Not only that though, who kills him?
Erebus. Yeah, it was
the
literally
most hated character.
Yeah, it's literally Argal Tall is a plot device to make the reader one feel uncomfortable about main characters, which you should feel because you want to feel like your hero is in danger whenever danger is written.
Yes.
And two, he makes you that his death makes you hate Erebus more. And three, his death doesn't bring any ruination to the story because he's not needed anymore. His purpose is served. So he just did this genius thing that George R. R. Martin does. I feel like in his writing, it's very similar, where it's like you develop a character to lead you through a story, and once that story is led through, the chance of him dying is higher because he doesn't serve a purpose anymore to the reader, which makes it gives all those bonus things. And yeah, Gavin Loken was that character in the first 3 books, and it was very well written. And to make him come back seems like a bit of a shame.
Yes, it almost feels. It's almost like they got like feedback, like, "Oh, you really should not have killed him," but it had been so many books at this point for him to come back. Like, what's the why?
Yeah.
Like, no matter like what he does in the heresy, like I cannot imagine it being important enough to bring him back that another character could not have done. Like, what if like Axamond of all characters turned? Like he like sees like the betrayal of Horus, like he killed Torgadon, like he like was like distraught about
It's
like
riveting. There was a whole
why
story arc that could have led that way.
yeah, like what if he was like reached by Garo and was like an undercover knight errant? Like that's a fucking story. Like
That's a cool
him
story.
like in the Mournival, the newest 2 Mournival we had in the short story, like he convinced Torgadon that these were the 2 guys, or not Torgadon, but Abaddon, that these were the 2 guys. Like it would be fucking beautiful if like that's how it went. But instead we have Logan came back to life, and now like his goal is to kill Horus. Like why?
You go from this like this kind of, I know I'm comparing it to a lot of things. You have like this Game of Thrones storyline to this Lord of the Rings storyline. Even though I love Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Rings is written to be bad guys versus good guys. There's no muddling morality in it, which is fine. But what's annoying is the Horus Heresy is written to be about morality. You
Yeah,
can't do
because
that
both sides suck.
yeah, and you can't do that by making it good guys versus bad guys. And that's what it seems like when you resurrect all these people to go and fight the bad guys. And that brings me to my next point about this that's concerning. I feel like this entire series is really setting up for just a fucking bro down during the siege. I'm scared that every scene that I watch during the siege is 2 space marines, like kind of like at the end of Game of Thrones, like 2 people that the audience really wants to see meet, and then they just fight and someone dies, and that's it every single fucking scene. It's not what I want. I want like a crazy moral ending. I want it to be thought provoking. I don't want it to just be like a bro
I
down.
want to be like, I understand why you are chaos. Like it makes sense. Like honestly, if you think about it, like Angron has like it makes like the most sense because he was like, look, like I was raised by these fucking like pieces of shit. Like they put these nails in me. Like they are not good people. They were all about fucking like whatever they wanted. And it's exactly how the Emperor is running things. Like, I do not want to be a part of that.
So that's one critique I think I have of ADB is how he wrote Angron, because I think the nails are such a shitty plot device.
I hate the nails.
The nails are terrible. And I know that wasn't obviously ADB's decision, but a lot of people believe Angron turned against the Emperor because he stole his glory and the nails made him mad. But in reality, if Angron didn't have the nails, I think this should have been hammered home so hard in Betrayer. Is that if Angron didn't have the nails, he still would have turned. Because the real reason Angron's turning against the Emperor is because he believes the Imperium is basically slavery.
Yes,
And
which
that's what he
he
hates.
talks about when like they kept having like the flashback of him fighting the lion.
But it makes it seem so like that's so muddled and just the anger because of the nails.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
the nails just kind of ruined Agron's character in a bad way.
Yep, I agree. I mean, honestly, I feel like that was like all the world eaters.
Yep.
It's just
Like
like
Karn.
so like random of like, oh, like we have like this really badass character, but he randomly loses his fucking mind and just starts killing everyone and everything. It's like, oh, okay, why can't he do that like not with nails?
Yeah, and then you have this discrepancy in writers with like some world eaters go fucking crazy and will kill everything, and some world eaters just get a little mad.
I mean, what's the difference between honestly? What's the difference between the world eaters and the fucking night lords?
You see, like one of the things that's frustrating is, do you remember the short story about the Thousand Sun returning to Prospero,
Yeah,
and he was interrogated by Karn?
yeah,
Karn of that story was not the Karn and Betrayer.
no, not at all.
Like two completely different people, and it's because of the nails plot device. The writers can kind of jump back and forth between with how crazy the nails make them. But I don't know. We're kind of digressing, but the point I'm trying to make with the deaths is, I think I'm really concerned with the fact that Games Workshop is tied up in these books because they need to sell models and therefore characters can't die.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the fact that only Manus has died this far in the heresy of all the Primarchs is kind of dumb. Because I mean, we've had Porter Rabo kind of on his deathbed. We've had Kurz on his deathbed twice.
Mhm.
Vulcan's basically been dead for fucking 3 books. Like, why are we so afraid of killing characters? I mean, yes, it has to come down to models at this point, but like, is how much do you want to involve the models into your game?
Well, you have another problem too, in the fact that like these stories were written before the Harris Heresy became a book series.
True.
So they knew the outcome, right? And like they couldn't say like all the Primarchs actually died. That would be insane. So they're
But yeah, because they
kind of,
keep bringing them back at this point.
yeah. When the Horus Heresy was released in the books, the rule books, uh, it was an intriguing story because it was like maybe 100 pages, maybe. Um, Now they didn't realize that the absence of character deaths wouldn't survive over a 50 or 60 book or series. That's with writing that much and having that little shock effect moments in between. And that's why you see books like Nemesis, you see books like Mechanicum or The Outcast Dead, because they want to create characters that are at least unimportant to the overall story so they can kill them because they want to give a shock factor. But we know that. We know that when we pick up uh, Battle for the Abyss, they're all gonna fucking die.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, even like with books with like humans at this point, like I expect a human to die. Like
Yeah.
it's not like a shock factor when fucking a random human dies. It's like cool, like whatever. Like I'm not like saddened by this. Like actually kill the main fucking character.
And
Kill the fucking like not Yagasina, the fuck like Yasuge. Like kill him and Scars. Like you're gonna be like, holy fuck. Like you built
yeah,
this entire book around this guy being a badass and you just kill him. Like that's nuts. Killing Loken was huge. Then you
yeah,
bring him
also
back.
killing Torgodon was huge.
Yeah.
Killing the deaths at the end of the third book, they were all huge because it was kind of like that Ned Stark being beheaded moment, and then it went straight into season 8.
Yeah. Although it's not like even the same thing happens like fought at Eisenstein. Like you like built up the like captain or whatever of the Death Guard, and then he like sacrifices himself at Isfahan. Like those
Yeah,
are cool moments. Those are like characters that like, you're like, wow, like yes, it sucks that they died, but like they died like how you want them to die.
you have the apothecary in Fear to Tread sacrifice himself to become a demon, and his entire like soul is trapped in hell.
Yeah. Like there's the cool things, then it's like, let's
But you
bring back this
still,
random character.
yeah, you still have 18 Primarchs when the chessboard starts, and those 18 characters are supposed to be like the head fucking honchos, and you get over halfway through the series and only one has died, and you're like, oh, they all get to live.
Yeah.
This is just like a drama story. It's not like a, I don't know. I don't know how you would even define that, but it's just a drama. It's just the
Yeah.
days of our lives.
That's exactly what I was about to compare it to. Yep.
And I don't know. I get what you're saying. I would love to see the writers have the ability to take more of a like influence over the story. But yeah, it's strange because like they need to keep certain people alive because of how the story's already been written. And what even sucks as well is the Primarch deaths we do get in the Horus Heresy. I'll tell you right now, they're minimal.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I know which ones that they are.
the Primarch deaths after the Horus Heresy, like almost more people die after the heresy than during the heresy, and they're most of them just disappear.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really annoying. And a lot, even the Primarchs that die after the heresy don't really die a true death. And the one that dies, there's still ways to bring them back.
Yeah. Always. And it's just silly.
There's no finality. Like I think at the end it's gonna be like a really badass series, but I'm gonna miss having like aha moments.
Yeah. And I also hate that like some of those aha moments happen in fucking short stories.
Yeah.
Like
The
Loken coming
death of
back,
Emil.
stupid. Nemiel dying. Like any character that like maybe was cool, either that like died, maybe they come back, maybe they fucking get killed in a short story. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why is this person here like 20 books later?
Yep, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
I don't
I'm
know. I think it's
hoping
bullshit.
yeah, I'm hoping that we don't get into like a huge slugfest during the Siege of Terra, where it's like, what happens when Gavril Loken finally sees Typhus?
Yeah, or fucking like he gets to fight Abaddon again. Like, cool. We know where Abaddon is in the Harris or in the 40k universe. So if that happens, we know who wins.
Yeah. Yep, it's interesting. I think there are some cool fights I want to see. I just wish we could see them throughout the heresy and not at the end. I think that
Yeah.
would be a better story. And I'd like for the end of the siege to be more of a moral grounds kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, but it's just me.
I agree.
I don't know. All right, let's talk about
The Malcador.
the Malcador, the guy with the plan, supposedly. So here's the problem I have with Malcador, and I've expressed this in a lot of other of the podcasts. All the things that he does seem to be directly responsible for the state of the current Imperium in 40k. So if we want to take the Cabal, for instance, their theology is that in order for Chaos to lose, they have to win really hard.
So before we even get too far, how surprised would you be if Malcador is part of the Cabal? I would say not at all.
I'd be very surprised.
See, I wouldn't because he's involved in fucking everything.
I would be surprised because his actions. Now, this is also like makes no sense because the Cabal doesn't make sense, and there are many members of the Cabal that do this, but his actions seem to be in direct conflict with the Cabal's overall plan.
I can see that, but at the same time, it's fucking Malcador.
Yeah. So we're saying, let's say we believe the Cabal's theory in the sense that if Chaos wins and the Emperor dies and Horus wins, yada yada, Chaos will reign for a couple hundred years and then it'll die out. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Then
I just don't buy that.
I get what you're saying. I don't know if I buy it either. But here's what I do buy. By sacrificing the integrity of the Imperium and establishing orders that will go beyond the Horus heresy, you have created a system that the Chaos Gods do benefit from. Chaos Gods love the Inquisition. The Inquisition was literally put in place to fight the Chaos Gods. The Chaos Gods are like, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen. Why haven't we done this?
Thank God this worked.
This is fucking awesome. Because literally they turned the Imperium into a modern day. It is slavery. It's far worse than it was before the Horus Heresy started. There's people that are chaos cultists running rampant, and a lot of that, in my opinion, has to do with the actions that Malcador takes. Creating the Grey Knights, a group of people that literally just exterminate us and destroy entire chapters of fucking Space Marines. The Inquisition that is the only people that are allowed to call exterminatus. And they go through and they're complete hypocrites, power hungry people. And Malcador was the one that put those in place and didn't lay any contingency plans in place for what happens after the heresy. You know, it should have been, this is for wartime. Once war's over, it's done. But even if that was in place, you know, wartime is constant. It's all the time. Therefore, it has to stay. And these
Well, yeah, I mean, when you're with
organizations,
every planet, there's always going to be a war. I mean, think about just fucking like the Middle East has been at war since way before we were fucking born.
yeah. Well, the thing is, it just frustrates me to see that Malcador's actions are directly responsible for the chaos playground we have today. And even though he was using those actions for a short-term victory, I just don't think Malcador thinks in the short term, which is why I'm incredibly suspicious of him.
Yeah. I
I'm
don't know. Everything he
suspicious.
does is just like it almost seems just counterproductive.
Yes, like I'm very suspicious of like why is he the one that goes to Monarchia on the Emperor's will to literally commit genocide and then tell Lorgar that it's because he was worshiping the Emperor. And then that forces Lorgar to turn towards the Chaos side. And then, when everything's going to shit, practically embraces the Lecto Divinicus as a group of people and chooses not to persecute them on Terra, and even hires a Space Marine that is a part of the Lecto Divinicus as
And
his
knows
like
it.
personal guy. Yeah. So it's like Malcador's actions seem to be conflicting each other, and the decisions he makes are the worst at the time. He's like, oh, I'm going to say no to the Lecto Divinicus when it's going to turn a Primarch against the Emperor and fall into the hands of Chaos. And I'm going to say yes to the Lecto Divinicus when it's going to eventually lead to the creation of the Ecclesiarchy, which turns out to be the most corrupt organization ever existed. And then I'm going to create the Grey Knights, a group that is eventually responsible for the genocide of millions of people and also defy the Council of Nicaea, but then previously upholds the Council of Nicaea in order to fight against Magnus, which pushes Magnus to then contact Terra and destroy Terra's defenses. And he's the one that also sends Leman Russ after Magnus to take him as prisoner, and then Horus, comes in to mess
Yeah.
that up. But it's like almost everything Malcador does, he'll make the exact opposite decision, and both times he makes the decision, it's the worst one.
It's almost like every like time he's written, he's like a completely different character too.
Yeah. So this is where theories of Malcador began to circulate. So my first theory about Malcador is we have to look back. A lot of people say, like, okay, Malcador the Sigilite, he was a Sigilite, which was a group of people on Terra before the Unification Wars that were responsible for documenting history. Makes the most sense just because his name. But I would argue that that means absolutely nothing. When you have people like Alfarius running around, it means absolutely nothing. We first see Malcador in the story during the Unification Wars and around the start of the Primarch project, the Astartes project, right? I believe that it's possible that he is part of the bargain that took place with Chaos during the Primarch project.
Yeah, I can see that.
Either the Chaos Gods were able to influence the Sigilite and basically take that person over, and then Malcador made decisions that eventually led to the current state of the galaxy or universe. Galaxy. Or, in order to get the Primarchs, the Chaos Gods said that they needed to have somebody watch over part of the project, and that was Malcador directly.
Yeah, I mean, he's had to live so long for like a reason, right? And it wouldn't surprise me if that reason was because the Chaos Gods wanted him to.
It's shown that like really powerful psychers can live for astronomically long times, but I don't know. The fact that Malcador is the only one makes me incredibly suspicious.
Yeah, that too.
That's one theory that I have is I feel like the Chaos Gods during the Primarch project were able to influence one of these sigilites, and that became Malcador. That's why he lives such a long life. That's why the decisions that he makes seems to always backfire on the Imperium. That's my thought. But then there are other thoughts. Um, the other ideas include that he is the Emperor's son.
Maybe.
So the Emperor technically, I don't know if this is canon or not, did actually have children.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they would live a very, very long time. But they did die, and I think there was a big issue with this theory. I don't remember what it was, but that's one possibility. The other possibility is he literally is just a sigilite. I don't know. It seems kind of strange to me. Like his actions just don't make a lot of sense. But another theory I had is he is the emperor. And the way this theory works is essentially that like Malcador is actually the real emperor, and the emperor that we know is just Malcador's psychic projection, which is why the emperor is constantly changing form, constantly changing, like he's different based off of what people appear as. He's fighting in the warp as Malcador's psychic extension. And go ahead.
Oh, I just don't know if that makes sense with what Malcador does at the end.
I think like the Horus Heresy, in that theory is essentially the death of Malcador's physical body and the living on of him as a complete psychic being. And it's possible that Malcador wanted to work his way up to that, which is why he allows the Lecto Divinicus to be a thing. And now he's worshipped as a chaos god in the warp. We never know the Emperor's true name because of the power you could have over that, but
True. So would you say then that the corpse on the throne?
the corpse on the throne is a physical, in that theory, is like a physical projection of Malcador's being. Malcador's physical body's died, so he basically lives on like spiritually as the Emperor.
Interesting.
And like it's a psychic battery that's being drained. Like Malcador's psychic battery is being drained, essentially.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I do feel like they're separate beings because I almost feel like kind of like what you're talking about. Like they're almost like fighting each other,
It does
out
seem
fighting each other.
Yeah. So then you have to look at like kind of the goal of the Emperor, which is a whole nother fucking thing that we could do for hours. But it's like Could the emperor have actually desired the outcome of the Horus Heresy that happened? I mean, he's being worshipped as a god, and they believe that he might be actually a chaos god, the anti-chaos god at this point, and the amount of power that comes with that. If you subscribe to the fact that that's what the emperor wanted, then it's not so crazy to believe that Malcador was working towards those goals by creating the Inquisition, by creating the Administratum as the way it is, by creating the Grey Knights, the people who worship the Emperor as a god and their Space Marines, by allowing the Lecto Divinicus to be a thing. But then you wonder, why didn't he allow it under Lorgar? A lot of questions with this. And a lot of times the answer is the most simple one. And I feel like that's probably what it is. But it's cool to think about. And I just, if the answer is the most simple one, I don't like the way Malcador's character is written.
Yeah, but I mean, just going back to like every time we see him, I feel like it's written differently.
Yes, very similar to how the Emperor is written differently every time
Yeah,
we see.
like in the book Garo, like he's like written like it's like this like incredibly powerful psyker, like people respect him. Where in like First Heretic, get like bitch slapped and like Lord Girl's like, you're not fucking one of us, like fuck off.
Yeah,
I don't know. So it's definitely one of those like characters that like you just don't know what you're gonna get.
yeah. I think Malcador, more than any other character, even the Emperor, was written in a way that's unclear.
Yeah.
Like you never truly know what the fuck Malcador is, what he wants, why he wants it.
It makes you question like, why do we need to have two of those characters?
Yes, I agree. And like, if you were to have two of those characters, at least make one like make sense. You know,
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, we have not seen the Emperor like fucking at all.
right? And I don't think
And
you're really supposed to. The Emperor is really ultimately supposed to be an idea, but it seems like Malcador is also an idea because the shit he keeps doing makes no sense.
yeah, exactly. And like every time like the entire heresy is built off of this idea and like that this idea is bad, but we don't even get to see it.
Hmm.
It's almost like, well, like cool, but like I would rather have seen like the Emperor take up arms and be like, look, like Horus betrayed us, like he is not my fucking son anymore. Like fuck that guy. But no, it's like I'm gonna sit here and keep killing demons that Magnus let in, I guess.
You know,
Maybe we don't even see that. We just know assume that's what's happening.
one of the interesting ideas is like, you know, the story of the the soldier that like like jumps himself in front of the emperor before he dies
Mm.
to save the emperor's life. And it's, I don't want to spoil a lot, but there's basically a scene in the Siege series where somebody writes a story about how a person named All, it's not All Pearson, it's somebody else, with the same name, like dies to Angron. And he writes the story as him dying to Horus. It's a remembrancer who writes the story of him dying to Horus to protect the emperor. And it lays this concept down of what if that was actually what happened and no one actually lays themselves in front of the emperor? How much of the Horus heresy is actually a lie?
I mean, history is written by the winner.
And you kind of raise even this additional question: is the emperor even real? If you think about it from a 40K perspective, no one's seen him in 10,000 years. He's some dude that's a corpse sitting on a throne in a palace that no one is allowed to enter.
Yeah,
And
that's
all
fair.
you have these crazy stories of the emperor 10,000 years ago. You think of religions of like ancient Greece and Rome. Their gods were written just a few thousand, like to be like just a couple thousand years before the humans existed that were worshiping them. So here, this emperor is written down as somebody that appeared 10,000 years ago, and he doesn't even appear that often. So, like,
Sure.
if you think if the accounts of the emperor are actually true, there's so few of them that it's really hard to prove that 10,000 years ago was an actual person. It makes you wonder if this whole thing is a damn sham.
Although like Where did the gene seed come from?
I mean, genetic.
Who did like who found the primarchs?
Maybe the Chaos Gods did. As far as we know, based off of the 40K series, right? You know, you have like the Primarchs were just found on planets. Now, the obvious rebuttal to this is you have Gilliman, who's like, trust me, the shit happened. I was there.
That's true, yeah. Or
And
at least in the 40K universe, yeah.
it really does make you think, though, like, you kind of have these, like, demigods, and people will try to explain the unknown to them. So when they see Mortarion coming out of the warp, they give him a story.
Yeah.
Try to figure out where he came from and how he got there. And they tie it typically into their religion, you know?
It's always
Like,
the best way to do it.
yeah, like if you have a group of religious people in Greece and all of a sudden this like crazy monster comes out of the forest, it's really just like a boar. Maybe none of them have seen one before. They're definitely going to write that into their religious scripture at one point, and there's going to be a story about how Personavis meets a giant four-hooved tusked demon and did battle with it outside the gates of Hades or whatever, or not Hades. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, so I just feel like it's just it's possible, very possible that a lot of this is a fucking sham. And of course they're never going to say that.
No, but maybe.
I just think it's kind
Religion, baby.
I think it's
all
kind of
about faith.
to think about like how these characters, we barely know anything about them. But if we analyze the Bible as much of me and you as analyze this book series, we'd probably be like, who the fuck's this God guy? What does he want?
Jesus?
What are his motives? Are we
Moses? You didn't
sure
fucking
he's
separate no sea.
what's actually happened there? Yeah, I just think it's really interesting how humans write these stories. Maybe that's all we're reading to justify the shitty universe they live in.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And that's like the perfect spot to end right there.
So
Really
who knows?
thought-provoking.
The answer is who knows. Let us know what you think about the Emperor and Malcador. And
Is
how
this
can they
all a
do
sham?
this? How can they let us know all of this, Dylan?
I don't know, man. It's all bullshit.
Is there some sort of method that they can use to communicate with us to let us know their thoughts on the Emperor and Malcador?
There is. And you can do that by going to our Discord, pinned to the Twitter at Heresy Lodge. Email us at theheresylodge@gmail.com. If you are on YouTube, just ask. I will give you the link. Join the Discord. It's a lot of fun. Those are all the things. If you feel like tipping, feel free.
I gave you like a great segue there. It took me like 3 times of saying it to be like, oh yeah, there is a way.
I'm on my third pint over here, and I'm have not eaten in a while.
All right. Next
So,
week we'll be back for a preview of Vengeful Spirit. We'll see how far we get. Might be a 3-part. It's a big ass book.
It's huge. It's like 600 something pages. I'm on page 100, and I started reading 3 days ago.
Let's see what happens.
Yep. So you guys all have a great one, and we'll be back then. Have a good one.